Hey everyone, what's up? It's Ohio Skater. Um, got some more political content for you today. Some articles I've been reading. Just gonna do some commentary on a couple articles I read this morning. I found these articles on Ground News. So if you don't know Ground News is basically like it's a news aggregator. So it's news from all sorts of different sources, but it'll put the links basically to all of them on this one website, and you can go to all sorts of different sources, but it'll tell you basically the bias of the sources, like whether it's left wing or right wing, and and then it's usually like, so they'll have a topic, and it'll be like an AI like merge these articles together, and they'll have bullet points, but then it'll have like every article from the bullet point. So let's see, what do I have here? So I have this opinion piece in The Hill. It says bias distribution is 67% of the sources lean right. So this is a more right-leaning thing, and well, it's an opinion piece in The Hill, and right here next to The Hill it says center. That's the one I read. That's a centrist source. That's the one I read. But it's a opinion piece. It says, has Trump caused the establishment Democratic Party to implode? Okay, the next one, bias distribution, 64% of the sources lean left on this one. And which one did I read? I read the USA Today one, which it says here leans left. And it's AOC and Bernie Sanders draw thousands of people at Fighting Oligarchy rally in Denver. Okay, so both of these articles were posted yesterday, and I typed out some bullet points from them. So basically, in the first one, has Trump caused the establishment Democratic Party to implode? March 22nd, 2025, in The Hill. Okay, so in this opinion piece, this guy basically talks about, let me find the guy's name, give him some credits. Douglas McKinnon, Douglas McKinnon, opinion contributor. So he basically says, so he starts off by talking about what Charlemagne the God, host of the Breakfast Club, was saying recently on his show, that Charlemagne the God is saying the Democratic Party is in shambles, in disarray, has no leadership, no messaging, and they don't have direction. And furthermore, down below this in the article, he says that not Charlemagne, but the author of the article says that Democrats in Congress only currently have a 21% approval rating. Now he's talking about like he says old school liberals, the classic Democrat, these people are more in line with the thinking of the policies of Bill Clinton, John F. Kennedy, and Lyndon Johnson, and they do mix in a bit of Barack Obama and Jimmy Carter, but mostly the first three. And they believe the party must be about protecting the rights of the working class, the disenfranchised, and the voiceless, but also with a common sense and pragmatic approach, not the woke stuff the far left of the party is pushing. So what happened to the old school liberal Democratic Party? Basically, he says that Trump happened, and everything about the party has turned to them being against Trump and them trying to stop everything he does, and they stopped saying anything about the poor and working class constituents. Basically, this guy was claiming that the party is imploding because the far left in the party are doubling down on the "we hate Trump" message, while he's saying it's clear to see that Trump will go down as one of our greatest presidents in history because he's getting so much accomplished. That's what this the Hill contributor is saying. So he's basically saying this happened because they stopped talking to poor and working class constituents and made it all about Trump. And I guess the typical narrative is that Trump relates to poor and working class constituents. I guess that's what, I don't know, people are saying he's stealing them away from the Democratic Party. Maybe the Democratic Party was just, to me, as someone who's voted Democrat a lot in my life, mostly Democrat, I think it's just so obvious that Trump is is, I want to say, well, he grew up privileged, and he is this big owner of corporations, and he loves to flash his wealth, and he so it's confusing to me that people don't see that Trump is just sort of taking advantage of the working class. But this guy's saying the Democratic Party stopped talking to the working class, and because they started pushing this, the far left of the party, being woke, pushes the "I hate Trump" message, like, because they're, and that's woke or whatever. But I think the far left of the party is the Democrats' chance to earn back those working class constituents. That's common sense to me. It's those are the people who are talking about working class issues. The far left, Bernie Sanders, and so to me, to say that the Democrats are losing constituents because of the far left, I think it's happening because of the center left that is sort of sort of more elitist. It says the establishment Democratic Party about to implode, but I think the old school liberal, what the guy's talking about, the old school liberal that he's talking about, is what Bernie Sanders is trying to go back to, is what I think. You know what I'm saying? Or was trying to go back to, is what I think. So this just it makes sense to me, but it's not the opinion that I would take. Down here it says AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the second article, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Bernie Sanders draw thousands of people at Fighting Oligarchy rally in Denver, March 22nd, 2025, in USA Today. Let's check the author. Sadiksha Kochi. Okay. So basically in this article, it's saying AOC and Bernie drew big crowds at a rally in Denver, Colorado, as they travel across the country on their Fighting Oligarchy tour. So this is what I mean. Like, how are they not talking to the poor and working class and disenfranchised people and people without a voice when they're talking about fighting oligarchy? That's the name of the tour. They're talking about fighting oligarchy. And to say that's like woke, like, oh, oligarchy is a big word. We don't understand the word oligarchy, you educated woke, you college, they brainwashed you in college, you use big words like oligarchy, like woke, whatever, screw that. Like, no, they're talking about fighting oligarchy. If you don't know what oligarchy is, it's when like a small group of people, like the 1%, like Bernie Sanders was talking about, like own the means of production and control the political system because of that. And for a long time we called Russia an oligarchy, and that is what the U.S. is starting to turn into, more like a country like Russia, because Trump is a billionaire, right? Or at least he claims to be. At least he wants everyone to think he's a billionaire. Musk is definitely a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? These are the oligarchs. Like, okay, so like, these are the literal oligarchs, like running the government. Like, so it's not even like, I don't know, like. To me, the far left are the ones right here. They're talking about fighting oligarchy. They are the ones that are talking about working class issues, not the old school liberals who are in shambles now. The old school liberals have turned into elitist neoliberals. No one who cares about the working class calls themselves liberal anymore. Come on, dudes. Like, but yeah. That's just. I don't know. So the tour comes amid tensions within the Democratic Party following a vote by Senator Chuck Schumer and 8 other Democrats and 1 independent to back a Republican-crafted spending bill and avert a government shutdown last week. So they were trying to avert a government shutdown, and I'm pretty sure Republicans have control of Congress, both houses. So they had to sign this to avert a government shutdown. I don't know. I don't know what this. I'm just saying they had to sign this to avert a government shutdown. Basically, but I guess AOC and Bernie didn't want them to sign it because it's Republican crafted, see, they're criticizing Trump and Musk's widespread effort to cut government spending and downsize federal agencies. So, like, here's where the first article has a point, right? You know what I'm saying? Like this. So when you read through the second article, at first you're like, oh yeah, fuck the first article, and then you read through to the end of the second article, and it's kind of where you see the point of the first article that like, so I don't think we should just be like so. It's like always an argument between like funding government or not funding government or defunding government or cutting spending or shifting spending, shifting priorities. It's always an argument about that, whether we should spend money or whether we should not spend money. And no one ever talks about like how this money is even being spent. Like how what is it being spent on, and is it being spent efficiently? You know what I'm saying? So I fuck with efforts to make the government more efficient. But what they should be saying is like, okay, you can make the government more efficient, but like we are defending these services. Like we're not gonna get rid of welfare. We want you to make it more efficient so you can spend money better on welfare so people can get their needs met more easily, and at the same time it's less expensive than this outdated system that you were spending on. Like and so that's where I think there should be a compromise. But at the same time, like, I see their stance is the AOC and Bernie stance is more generally working class to me. Even if I don't necessarily fully agree with what they're saying about downsizing, cutting spending, and downsizing federal agencies, it's okay. So you got to read between the lines. We should be making our government efficient, but we shouldn't. But Trump is also like this billionaire conservative, and so is Elon Musk. And okay, yeah, we should make the government more efficient, but you should not be getting rid of you shouldn't be getting rid of the things the government does. You should be trying to make them work better. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't, because it's not. You should be trying to make everything the government does more efficient, and making the government more efficient is sometimes code word for like, oh, we're gonna get rid of these whole programs. That's not even making it more efficient. That's just like getting rid of it and not even doing it anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because when you get rid of all that, what's the government gonna do? Like, I mean, I'm an anarchist. You know what I'm saying? But let's be real. In our current situation, like with the government, like if you supported the government, if you were gonna get rid of all these things, what would the government do? You know what I'm saying? And what would be the purpose of it? I mean, but now I've said I'm an anarchist, but I've also told you about how I vote in my previous videos. I made a video about how I'm an anarchist, and I made a video about my voting patterns or whatever, and the organizations I'm a part of, and it's more tricky because like there's your philosophy, and then there's being a part of an organization that's trying to do something like right now, and there's having your opinion on the day-to-day issues, and there's it's like the distant future is like you hope it's anarchist, but in your day-to-day you're just trying to live your life. And so what I see here is that you have this guy complaining about how the Democratic Party is in shambles because of the far left. They're too woke. But AOC and Bernie, and they've forgotten about the working class. AOC, Bernie, the far left, AOC and Bernie, the far left, I think they are the ones that care about the working class, who, if anything, are bringing the old school liberal stuff back. Like, you know what I'm saying? So his criticism there doesn't make sense to me. But looking at what the Trump government has done and them just being so anti-Trump, they can't, like, I get it, because in their campaigns they do talk about, like AOC and Bernie, they did and do talk about like working class issues, but here they're just bashing Trump and Musk, and I'm sure they had some other stuff to say, so The progressive lawmakers are mobilizing voters to stand up against President Donald Trump and his policies, as well as the growing influence of Elon Musk. Over 34,000 people joined the rally in Denver. Working people are ready to stand together and fight for our democracy. Thank you, Colorado, wrote AOC on X. The American people will not allow Trump to move us into oligarchy and authoritarianism, wrote Bernie on X. So I get where AOC and Bernie are coming from, and I agree to a certain extent. But, my libertarian mindedness is sort of combating this, combating that in, because I do want to have an efficient government, but at the same time, if I think it's bad to say, like, oh, the far left is so woke, they don't care about anything other than wokeness. Like, if you look what they believe, if you look at their policies, and if you read their books, like, they are the ones that are talking about working class issues. So to say the Democratic Party fell apart because they weren't talking about working class issues, and it was because of the far left's wokeness. Well, the far left was talking about working class issues, and the Democratic Party decided to ignore them. And now that's why they have such a low rating. I'm telling you right now, is because they ignored the far left. They ignored AOC and Bernie. That's why they are in shambles, I think. They chose to ignore that. But AOC and Bernie Sanders are not above the Trump bashing. I think fighting oligarchy is a good thing. And I think it's common sense to anyone who knows what oligarchy means that Trump and Musk are oligarchs. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are. But I've also, yeah, I don't know. It seems to me that if the Democratic Party is going to be saved, it is going to be by the far left. But it's also, they do have to shift their strategy from blaming everything on Trump. They do have to shift away from that strategy, because AOC and Bernie should know that their supporters are smart enough to hear about real socialism. You know what I'm saying? And so they shouldn't back off and tone themselves down and just say, like, oh, we're fighting against Trump because big bad orange man. They should know that that their supporters probably actually read theory and probably actually know about this stuff. They should, I don't know, but sometimes coming with too intelligent of a message is will that's the thing. It's like they think Democrats are snobby, and like, but Republicans are on average like a lot more wealthy than Democrats, and it's like, yeah, Democrats aren't snobby in the way that they have way more money than you. They just know a lot about like complicated issues. They are the ones that are like super schooled in politics. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't make you any more snobby compared to like a Republican who grew up super rich. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I thought these were two articles that, because saying, is the Democratic Party about to implode? Well, it looks like, Bernie Sanders is not even a Democrat, but it looks like AOC is trying to save the Democratic Party. I always thought it was the center, more centrists in the party that were super against Trump, because Bernie Sanders supporters and Trump supporters had so much in common back in 2016, but that's why I think that the far left should save the Democratic Party, and that the far left is what the old school liberal stuff was, but I don't know. Anyway, that's gone on long enough, so peace.